Greetings, everyone. Greetings, Frank. How you doing? My name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Okay. And I am here today, as per promised, to continue the reading of the book that we have been on now since a week from this last Thursday, which is Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Oh God, I'm gonna read very quick today. Gonna try. I know I be moved, but I'm gonna try very, very diligently to not to save my comments for when we start doing the book club, because I want to move through this book, one, and two, this week is an extremely big and powerful week. And so every day this week, I am going to be doing like I did last week. I really was trying to, I don't know, I gotta do it because there's no other way to do it. So I'm gonna do late night live readings, live readings, late night live readings, um, every day this week. Oh, thanks. So regular 5 o'clock time, I will be doing the reading, and then 9:36 every day this week, I'm going to be doing live readings. Now, I am open for opinion. If the opinion is, because I know that there are some people that tune in from outside the state of California. So if the opinion is that I should do the readings at 5 o'clock and the the spiritual readings, the live readings at 5 o'clock, and the reading of our book, which is our regularly scheduled programming at 9:36, I am open to that. So if you would rather me read late night and do the live readings at 5, I will welcome the input. But as it stands, I'll be doing the reading at 5 o'clock and of Pure Lust until we're done with it, which will take about 2 more weeks. And I'll be doing the live readings, which I like doing later at night. To be honest, I feel like when the world is wide awake, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that it's really busy outside. Even though my place is quiet, my neighborhood is quiet, I still feel like there's just a lot of hyper energy that comes in. I would prefer to do the readings late at night. I feel like because it's more quiet, it's more advantageous for everyone. However, if people would rather me do the live readings, the spiritual readings at 5 o'clock, and the reading of the book later at night, I'm open to that. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. I have a client directly after our live today. So this is going to be exactly 1 hour today. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. For those that are tuning in on IG, I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel, which when you go to YouTube, you just put @Daughter of the Fates. My stuff will come right up. You can watch live on YouTube. That'll help me get my watch hours up. That'll help me with my subscriptions. So I would really appreciate it if you do that. Like, share, subscribe, the whole, spiel. So go to my YouTube channel, which is @DaughterOfTheFates. Okay? All right. So that being said, we're going to pick up where we left off Friday, which was translucent transcendence of the Immaculate Conception. Now, I think Sunday, I did have a little discussion because I had received several comments about the last section that we read, which was about the difference between the virgin birth of Jesus Christ and the Immaculate Conception of Mary. And so I think that there was some confusion about that. This next section that we're about to read, hopefully that will clarify that some. But again, that can be something that we reserve as questions or topics for the book club once we finally start doing the book club for this book. Okay? Or the book discussions for this book. So, Translucent Transcendence of Immaculate Conception. The heading of this section is double-edged. It means first that women, insofar as we are translucent to deep memory within, can transcend the trickery of dogmatic deception. It means second, that the symbol itself of the Immaculate Conception functions as a broken metaphor of translucent transcendence. These meanings clearly are interrelated. Amazons willed our labors to cut through the illusions and deceptions, disclosing transcendence. In this case, what we are cutting or smashing is a distorting mirror of memory, disclosing the prisms in which women can recognize the radiance of our own origins. Since the Immaculate Conception is an especially powerful, though distorted mirror, the arch image under this aspect provides reflections of that which we seek, the primal parthenogenetic sources and forces within female elemental being. Thanks, Carlotta. I'll digress for a second since everybody's commenting on my jewelry. So today is Indigenous Peoples Day. And so all weekend here in California, there have been Indigenous People Day events happening all weekend. This weekend was so loaded and so packed, I'm telling you. But anyway, I went out to several of these events and, set aside some dividends to support local Indigenous merchants, if you will. So I got some dope jewelry. I got this new dope piece of jewelry here. Listen, there was this dude. I'm gonna have to send y'all the link to his IG. Oh my God, his artwork is extraordinary. He's a Southern Mexican or Mexica artist who does extraordinary jewelry. I mean, just mind-boggling. He had this piece that I wanted so bad. It was this big piece of bone. And I was like, what kind of bone is that? A boar tusk. Like the tusk down. And so it spread across the chest, and it had leather straps hanging down with like little turquoise pieces on the bottom, and it was strung on obsidian. But the boar tusk, he had drawn this elaborate scene on the boar tusk, like the Mayan pyramids, and like a scene with like landscape and animals and all of this stuff. So he says he draws it out first, and then takes like a metal engraving tool to chisel out the bone or to chisel out the picture that he drew on the bone. So it is this 3D image of this scene chiseled out with freaking tools. Oh my God, it was extraordinary. Now, I have what he was asking for, which he well deserved, but I wanted to support his business. So I bought this piece from him, which is this dope, extraordinary bracelet. It is the spine of a rattlesnake. The spine of a rattlesnake. Yeah, extraordinary. And so I bought several pieces from people this weekend. But thanks everybody on commenting on those. Okay, now I get back to it. All right. Precisely because it was designed to undermine that which is the most archaic and elemental, this dogma can function as a metaphor, evoking parthenogenetic powers in women who choose to be translucent, transcending trickery. Turning this alienating dogma to good use as telescope for viewing archaic memory, we participate in knowledge of its radical origins. These origins the would-be destroyers cannot destroy, but only caricature and cover over, attempting to distract, recalling the insight that evil is that which distracts. The evil is that which attempts to distract. We are enabled to focus with intensified intent upon the hidden images, the hidden messages of this metaphor. Agnostic searchers can amass such hidden messages, disclosing thus those elemental powers which, By the mechanism of reversal, the dogma attempts to hide the multidimensional powers of parthenogenesis. Oh. The word parthenogenesis is derived from the Greek parthenos, meaning virgin, and from genesis, which means origins, and which stems from the verb gignestai, meaning to be born. The fact of the biological parthenogenesis in some species has been demonstrated. However, parthenogenesis means more than reproduction or procreation. Anne Dellenbaugh has shown that this can be heard as a new word. Quote, within a phallocentric semantic context, parthenogenesis is a method of reproduction. But wrenched from this context and heard with a radical feminist consciousness, parthenogenesis names a wholly different phenomenon. Hearing it in this new way requires a qualitative leap into self-consciousness, for parthenogenesis names nothing less than the process of a woman creating herself. Come on, y'all. Come on in with your popcorn and take a seat, baby. And of course, this extends to all forms of spinning female creativity. One essential feature of virginal scolding and scalding creativity is the fact that no father is required for this recreation. Indeed, the works of weirds are wild, wayward, born out of wedlock, having been conceived in sinful originality. Foretellings of fates are unfathered and unfettered. Freed from the fathers, virgins or viragos reclaim our connection with the elements. Disillusioned labor's wielders break the barriers between ourselves and the natural world. Thus, reconnected with the forces of nature, women discover our mantic powers. Mantic means of or relating to the faculties of divination, prophetic. Parthenogenically, creating crones are mantic in multiform elemental ways. Gnostic nags practice geomancy, or the art of divination by means of signs derived from the earth. This is sometimes accomplished by the observation of crevices, mountain chains, and in general of the configuration of the Earth's surface. Sylphic soothsayers specialize in aeromancy, or divination from the state of the air or from the atmospheric substances. Imbued with the undane understanding, women undertake hydromancy, or divination by means of signs derived from water, its tides and its ebbs, or the appearance of sprites therein. This divination is based on the observation of whirlpools, springs, lakes, or smooth, brilliant surfaces of water. Finally, salamandrous shrews practice pyromancy, or the divination by means of fire or flames, recalling the four crones, the witches. Hold on, let me take a couple of notes here. Yeah, let me just do that. Okay. Such prophecies do not exclude rigorous reasoning, nor does the absence of fathers exclude the use of male-authored text as secondary resources. Oh shit. As secondary resources. These authors are not parents of parthenogenetic works, but are conduits to the knowledge that has been controlled and contaminated within the tombs and tomes of Sado schooling. In fact, oh shit. I knew it. I knew this whole chapter was about to be. Listen. All right. These authors are not parents of parthenogenetic works, but are the conduits to the knowledge that has been controlled and contaminated within tombs and tomes of Sato's schooling. In fact, vigorous independent creativity commands the use of such resource materials. Shrews do not shrink from the task of assessing and assuming material that is related, even in a distorted way, to our own heritage. Come on through. Come on through. Come on through now. The ideology of the Immaculate Conception itself is itself an example of this kind of material, as I have shown. The process of reversing the reversals of male authored pronouncements and theories is an important work of the parthenogenic creativity. Oh my God. For this process dispels the sublimed vapors that depress and bore women. It releases the elements of our dismembered past so that these again become tangible, audible, visible, ready to be rewoven by the tapestries of images, sounds that are alive and rhythmic with a pulsing, passionate searching. Child, she is going the fuck off right now. Oh my God. Listen. She said, for this process dispels the sublimed vapors that depress and bore women. It releases the elements of our dismembered past so that these again become tangible, audible, visible, ready to be rewoven in tapestries of sounds that are alive and rhythmic in the pulsing of passionate searching. Oh, God. Such study requires stamina, staying power. Come, y'all ain't listening to the word, okay? Such study requires stamina, staying power, which is also straying power, the ability to stray off the tracks of truth. The ability, come on, man, the ability to stray off the tracks of tradition that betray women and nature. Listen, 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 listen. Yo, my God. Child, listen, she is going. Listen. Yes, Letitia, let me post it. Yes. Listen, she said such study requires stamina, staying power. Staying power, which is also straying power. Excuse me. The ability to stray off the tracks of traditions that betray women and nature. Straying is sparked by emotion. That is passion that moves women to thinking and acting the way out. Oh my God. Oh my God. The way out. Emotion is ecstatic and delirious. Delirium is derived from the Latin de, from or off, plus lyra, track. Deliberate delirium keeps us off the tracks of trained responses, traditional expectations. God damn. God damn. Traditional expectations. Since the word learn is derived also from lyra, it is clear that lusty women's delirium should be a matter of studied unlearning. Oh my God. Child, it's gonna take us forever to get through this book. Child, since the word learn is also derived from lyra, it is clear that lusty women's delirium should be a matter of studied unlearning. The word studied is important here, for one must know the tracks well in order to break out of them, without sliding back into them. To be truly truant requires study, training, and untiring untraining. The process is unnarrowing, harrowing. Ultimately, its motivating emotion is wonderlust and wanderlust. Its scope is vast, visionary, planetary. The wonderings and wanderings of straying women are wayward, earthward, and skyward. Witches long and learn to fly, flying with freewheeling symbols whose metaphoric powers have been released, requires deep rootedness in women's own elemental race, from which the phallic fathers try to uproot us. Our ability to know this has been blocked, however. Regaining this knowledge and the self-confidence that accompanies it is the key to creation. For this pyromantic knowledge burns through the coverings that conceal the arcade and archive. The radiant gynergy that women experience when deeply focused pulses in harmony with the rhythms of the cosmos, rhythms masked by the archetypes, but also throbbing through these. Focusing through is not a once or for all matter, once and for all matter, of course. It is creative process of discovering who we are. Elemental background of Mary and the Black Madonnas. It is well known that throughout Europe, the Black Madonnas are considered especially wonder-working, and that they are associated with mysterious knowledge and power. These images are to be found in many shrines, for example, in the Montserrat, at Chartres, and at Einsiedeln, Switzerland. Discussing her experiences during a tour of the Marian shrines in Europe, a feminist scholar spoke of the fact that there was, for her, a particular sense of presence and power surrounding the Black Madonna at Montserrat. Many hags have responded to these images as viewers into the background. It is worth noting scholarly studies of these in order to pursue. It is worth noting scholarly studies of these in order to pursue our own analysis. Scholars have made a threefold classification of types of Black representations of Mary. First, there are the dark brown or the Black Madonnas with physiognomy and skin pigmentation matching those of the indigenous population. These include Nuestra Senora de Guadalupe in Mexico City and various Black Madonnas in Africa, which reflect efforts to assimilate indigenous traditions of female power and divinity. Second, there are art forms that have turned Black as a result of physical factors such as the deterioration of lead-based pigments, accumulated smoke from the use of votive candles, or other smoke damage, oxidation of silver, and accumulation of grime. Finally, there are Black Madonnas found in Europe where the natives are Caucasoid, which are Black originally, and there are some that turned Black as a result of physical damage and later were repainted Black. Some scholars have connected the Black Madonnas of the third category with ancient goddesses. Offering this hypothesis, two scholars suggests. I see you, Letitia. Oh my God. Oh my God, girl. This is a quote. The Black Madonnas are Christian borrowings from earlier pagan art forms that depicted Ceres, Demeter, Melania, Diana, Isis, Sybil, Artemis, or Rhea as Black, the color characteristic of goddesses of the earth's fertility. End quote. These scholars affirm that Demeter, Melania, or the Black Demeter, as distinct from the sorrowful Eleusinian mother, is a more powerful figure and is associated with the fertility of Black Earth. Chronologists take the argument a leap further and go on to wonder about Egyptian African sources for these images of female divinity. Agnostic searchers can see in these images glimmerings of our archaic elemental heritage. These stirred deep memory, enabling hags to ride the metaphors of the Black Madonnas to the spheres of imagination that transcend insipid Caucasian cookie cutter depictions of the arch image. Oh shit! Listen, y'all ain't heard this woman. Y'all ain't heard. She said, "Look, damn, hold on just a second." Yo, she said, agnostic searchers can see in these images glimmerings of our archaic elemental history or heritage. These stir deep memory, enabling hags to ride the metaphors. You're hiding. Come back here. Come back here. Come back. Hold on. Come on. Oh, she's got it. Okay. She said, these stir deep memory, enabling hags to ride the metaphors of the Black Madonnas to spheres of imagination that transcend insipid Caucasian cookie cutter depictions of the arch image. Having glimpsed the arch image as Black Earth, we are prepared to see her associations with other elements. Star of the Sea. Depictions of Mary were assumed from those of the sky goddesses, including Ishtar and especially the great astral divinity, the triple moon goddess Isis. Archimagical powers that are both veiled and partially disclosed in the image of Mary are suggested in depictions of Isis. She was said to be a potent magician. Even the gods were not immune to her sorcery. She is the star of the sea, the patron divinity of travelers. Moreover, she is a word worker. Quote, for I am Isis, the goddess, and I am the lady of the words of power. And I know how to work with words of power, and most mighty are my words. End quote. It is clear that Isis is an important key to the background of elemental being. Of elemental being. Quote, her cult continued to grow in importance until it ultimately absorbed that of nearly all the other goddesses. It even crossed the frontiers of Egypt. Seamen and merchants in the Greco-Roman era carried her worship as far as the banks of the Rhine. In the Nile Valley, she kept her worshippers until well into the Christian times. End quote. Okay, so so she's got a lot of like what do you call it? Like additional information. Like citing and additional information at the bottom or whatever. So I'm not going to read all of that, but yeah. Anyway, in addition, the Lady of Words is cosmic writer and librarian. She, Isis, has been identified with Sekka or Seku, it. Seku or Sekka, it, who is, quote, the goddess of writings or fate, whose pen directs the course of all the world. She is termed the one before the divine place of books, i.e., the librarian of the gods. End quote. Moreover, as goddess of fate, Sekite or Sekate, sits at the foot of the cosmic tree, or in other words, in the nethermost southern depths of the sky, or at the meeting place of the upper and lower sky. And there she not only writes upon this tree or on its leaves all future events, such as lengths of life, but also records the great events for the knowledge of the future generations, since everything, past and future, is written in the stars. Though these words suggest a power to speak / write words that evoke deep memories. The inspiration of these words connect the speaker and the hearer with the stars, with the elements, and cause us to travel further into the realm of archispheres. Intuitions about the cosmic writer and library are by no means limited to women who explicitly identify as feminists. In an astonishing book, Psychic Politics by Jane Roberts, describes an experience in the course of which she saw the image of a library transposed over the southeast corner of her living room, and her own image within this library. Thus also experienced then the inspiration to write a new book. Roberts quotes from notes that she wrote to herself during that experience. Quote, "The image of the library may be symbolic of those, yet on another level, I can see myself standing there by those volumes, nearly weeping, thinking that I had finally come home. I feel that my destiny is to transcribe these invisible books, sifting through them my psyche as it lives in our time." Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Damn. Child, look. She said, I feel it is my destiny. I feel that my destiny is to shit. Oh my God. I feel that my destiny is to transcribe these invisible books, sifting them through my psyche as it lives in our time, and therefore recreating the books by imbuing them once more with life. I feel that the books in my life will interweave so that each adds to each other. Listen, oh my God. Listen. Two things. I got to intervene. Two things. Oh my God. What did I just say, Letitia? You may remember. Carlotta, you may remember. What did I just say a few weeks ago when we were discussing this book right here? Actually, these two books right here. The Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets and the Women's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects. What did I just say a few weeks ago when we were talking about the menstrual cycle? Greetings, my Amy. I said that there are so many valuable books that we need to rewrite because this book is gangster. This book is awesome. Awesome. But a huge however is that because it was written in 1983, there is a whole segment of the human population missing from the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. What did I just say a few weeks ago? I just said that we need to galvanize a collective of Black, brown, red, and yellow women from around the world to collectively rewrite this book, adding our place in mythological history into this radical works. You feel me? Same thing about the Women's Dictionary, written by the same woman, of symbols and sacred objects. So much of what I have learned in the last 15 years as a practitioner of Ifa is just absent, like it never existed. So much. Sometimes these books will like gently touch on, quote, Egyptology, traditions from Kemet, from Egypt. Because up until that time, Egypt was still seen as something separate from Africa. You feel me? But where is the native in print here? Where are the traditional secrets and secrets of the symbols of secrets and sacred objects, symbols and sacred objects of the women of the Western Hemisphere, of the Americas? Where are the symbols and sacred objects of Hindu women? She touched on it a little bit up in here and in the Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. But I was like, damn, there are several books that we don't have to go through and read, right, add to. This book, and then the other thing that she just said that struck me is, since I was a little girl, little, it's so funny because I didn't like to read when I was little. When I was like in high school, I didn't like to read. I didn't recognize and make the connection that I didn't like to read because of what they were trying to make me read. But even still not liking to read, I remember telling my mom that when I own my own house, when I build my own house, I'm going to have a white people's library. And she was like, girl, what the hell is a white people's library? I was like, you know how on the movies, rich white people got these big old houses, but they got one room in the center of the house, and there's books from the ceiling to the floor on every wall, and there's a ladder that goes around so you can get to the top books, and the only other thing in the room is a reading desk and a window in the ceiling. That has been my ambition my whole life. You feel me? These books here behind me, you see, are 2 deep, 2 in. I've got, I don't know, maybe 1,500 books now. A little over 15. Actually, I might have more than that. But yeah, I got approximately 1,500 books. That's the only thing I don't part ways with. I would get rid of all my furniture. I'll get rid of all of my little knickknacks and art. But I just paid $1,700 to have every last one of these books hauled out of my storage unit from Florida and brought out here. Okay, I left the furniture in that storage unit because it wouldn't fit. It was so much I wanted to bring with me. But I was like, look, if I can't get it in, everything that's a book has to come first. And so here she's talking about, she's just speaking to my spirit right now. That's all I'm saying. She said, in the image of the library, and this is within the context of Isis being the great librarian, the librarian to the gods, the cosmic writer, the lady of words, right? And so maybe it wasn't random and weird that my little 8-year-old self talking about, I want to have white people's library in the house that I want to build for myself when I grow up. You feel me? Maybe it was the mother all along, and I accept that. The library, the image of the library may be symbolic, of course, yet on another level, I can see myself standing there by those volumes, nearly weeping, thinking that I have finally come home. I feel that my destiny is to transcribe these invisible books, sifting them through my psyche as it lives in our time, and therefore recreating the books by imbuing them once more with life. And I feel that the books in my life will interweave so that each adds to the other, end quote. Jane Roberts goes on to explain that her feeling then was that at some other level, she had entered a college or a community of scholars. She states that it is possible that someone else might experience the other dimensional environment in a different way. For example, seeing flashes of light instead of books. So she reiterates, however, that for her, from the beginning, there was a library at another level of experience, and that while I went about my work here, I'd be making my way there at the same time, end quote. It is by no means my contention that the task of feminist writers, or of any writer, is literally to, quote, transcribe books that exist elsewhere. However, the intuition of a library and a community of scholars in another dimension seems to me inspired. For in true acts of creation, one does participate in other dimensions. Moreover, it is true that as we go about our work here, we are making our way there. For in honest acts of creation, deep being is disclosed. Such acts are carriers, metaphors of meta being. The tradition of the cosmic librarian writer is one of learning, speaking, inspiring in harmony with the moon, sun, and stars. Elemental writing is a means of voyaging into time past and future. Writing Webster's call forth secrets of our depths, becoming soothsayers, voyaging weirdward. Webstery connects women with gnomic wisdom of the ages, nagging us into the time and space of this knowing. The wording of Webster's gives vent to the rage of the ages. Shall listen. That's a hell of a statement. She said the wording of Webster's gives vent to the rage of the ages, for our words have been stolen, are coming home to us. The cosmic writer is any lusty woman who speaks the words of her own being. This speaking takes many forms, including printed books, pots, paintings, consciousness-raising sessions, work in battered women's shelters, take back the night marches, rituals, concerts, scholarly conferences, anti-pornography protests. Each woman's focus is a matter of circumstances, necessities, tastes, and talents. The point is that all these spirations are books of lusty lives. The schoolboys of Snooldom have named themselves authors and keep ideas seminal. Reflecting this situation, the dictionary gives as first definition of author one that fathers, procreator, parent, or ancestor. Having assumed authorship, they claim authority using the divine author, their fiction, as authority legitimating their atrocities. God damn. Having pinned women into the mirror world of their archetypes, the authorized authors have refused women the right to write, saying to wayward women that to publish is to perish. Dang. That to publish is to perish. They have inscribed the words caution over the gateway to our psychic creative depths. Cautious cowardice is then perceived as virtue, labeled courage, and timidity is the rule for writing. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, shit. Listen. Having pinned women into the mirror world of their archetypes, these authorized authors have refused women the right to write, saying to wayward women that to publish is to perish. They have inscribed the word caution over every gateway to our psychic creative depths. Cautious cowardice is then perceived as virtue, labeled courage, and timidity is the rule for writing. Oh my God. Self-centered censorship serves the institutions of intimidation. Oh my God. As wild women hear inner words, we face the task of wording our way out. Our stellar journeys beyond incarceration by and in patriarchal pens require transcendence of authorized incarcerations, the warped words, twisted texts, and tortured civilization, which are products of phallic sublimation. This is the subject of the following chapter. Child, let me just tell y'all something right now, God damn it. We are just now finishing chapter 1. Okay. No, that was chapter 2. My bad. We just now finished chapter 2. I'm going to start, since I have still about 15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and start reading chapter 3. But it's going to be short because, again, I have a patient, a client right after this. But I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. For those of you joining late, my name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates. I'm the founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And I am reading The book, Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. So we're going to go ahead and get into chapter 3 with the last 15 minutes that we have. Beyond Pseudo-Sublimation, Real Presence. So she has two. So what she does in every chapter, when you go back and you like mishear what I'm saying, at the beginning of every chapter, she gives two definitions of the same word or collection of words. Okay, she gives the Webster's Dictionary definition, and then she gives her definition as a Webster, which she calls, like a weavester, a woman who weaves webs. You feel me? So that's what I'm about to read now. Real presence. Quote, this is according to Webster's Third New International Dictionary of English Language. The doctrine that Christ is actually present in the Eucharist. Real presence, according to her definition. Female elemental participation in powers of being, which implies realizing as present our past and future selves. In the preceding chapter, I have discussed archetypes as perversions of original words, of arche. These constitute the patriarchal sublime, the pseudo-sublime. In this chapter, I will analyze pseudo-sublimation, the discharge of allegedly instinctual energy through activities that are socially approved within patriarchy. Activities resulting in multiple incarcerations of the alienating archetypes as cultural forms that kill women in nature. The sublimated society is constituted of warped words made flesh. On the foreground level, women and the elements are possessed, domesticated, deprived of our elemental divine daughterhood. Animals, plants, minerals are possessed. The sublimers intend that all be relegated to the roles of breeders, vessels, vehicles of the repetitive discharges that produce phallic culture. One way of naming the reproductions and incarnations of archetypes that constitute this culture is to call them stereotypes. This word is derived from the Greek stereo, meaning solid, plus typos, meaning impression of a seal, mold, or replica. To aid us in the process of understanding stereotypes, archaeologians recall that the archetypes are arch efforts to beat and defile the archae. Archetypes are like ghosts, gases, vapors that are particularly deceptive, since one can imagine that she sees through a vapor when in fact her vision is distorted. Since archetypes continually change form, just when a woman has exercised one of its manifestations from her, she's in danger of becoming entrapped in yet another. We have seen also that in the pseudo-subliming process, archetypes are condensed, that is, projected onto persons, institutions, things, assuming solid forms. Among the solid waste that result from this entrapment of gynergy and projection of archetypes are wasted lives of women, lives that are slowed down, hardened, deadened. Such lives become more and more stereotypical, modeled on stereotyped images that are dispensed through pseudo-religion, psychology, pornography, fashion, film, and that are ever more intensely disseminated through television, commercials, news, dramas, forms which are increasingly indistinguishable from each other. These images are designed to keep women typed, that is, beaten and defiled in our own minds. The object of this mass production is the beating of women into solids in the most horrifying sense, making us entirely of one substance, kind, or character. Indeed, it is chilling to read definitions of the noun stereotype. It means something repeated or reproduced without variation, something conforming to a fixed or general pattern and lacking individual distinguishing marks or qualities. Among the definitions of the verb stereotype are, quote, to fix in a lasting and usually rigid, precise form. Oh, and to make standardized or hackneyed, end quote. Cut off from the flow of the arche and the archive, and from the divining powers of the arc image or the archimage within, women who are potential hags become hackneyed, lacking individual qualities, fixed in rigidly precise forms. Thus, solidified, stultified, confused women are confused and confusing to each other. Moreover, as Andre Collard has shown, animals and all of nature are stereotyped within patriarchy, perceived and treated in such a standardized, deadening way that torture and massacre pass uncriticized and unnoticed. This oversimplified, depraved typing legitimates the violation of all animal and vegetative life. Collard points out that perceptions have been so dulled by stereotypes reflected in such expressions as dumb brute, beastly, only an animal, and vegetate, that even the well-intentioned participate in atrocities. When the images of women and all natural creatures are thus frozen and degraded, we can be deemed fit subjects for experimentation and massacre, which are manifestations of sado-sublimation. We are set up to be victims, caught in a maze of false assumptions and the assumption. Among the definitions of the verb assume are, quote, to take one's right or possession, arrogate, seize, or usurp, and to take in appearance only, pretend to have or be, feign. These definitions combined describe the manner in which women and all elemental beings are possessed by phallocracy. For our rights are arrogated, seized, and usurped, yet the usurpers cannot seize elemental power. They do this in appearance only by, oh my God. Shh. Yet the usurpers cannot seize elemental powers. They do this in appearance only by masking our origins with archetypes and perpetuating these symbols through the production of stereotypes, pretending to have power over female elemental powers. Thus, the androcratic assumers fill minds with false assumptions. Women are tricked into assuming that these assumers have and are the reality they feign to have and be. Since their program of usurpation of minds has been hugely successful, they appear to go unchallenged in their rampant destruction of the planet. The program of assumption is total. It moved into a period of climax with the building of the first atomic bombs in the 1940s, ushering in the age of nuclearism. The fitting slogan for this age, a line from the Bhagavad Gita, was uttered by Robert Oppenheimer, father of the atomic bomb. At the time of the first atomic explosion, I am become death, the shatterer of worlds. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It was altogether appropriate that just a few years after the beginning of this age of nuclear assumptions, the Catholic Church officially proclaimed the dogma of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary. In 1950, Pope Pius XII, I think, officially proclaimed that Mary was taken up body and soul into the glory of heaven. The idea of the Assumption had been around for centuries, as had the case with the Immaculate Conception. What is chronologically significant is the time at which the Church got around to making it official dogma. It can be seen that in important ways the Assumption and the explosion of the atomic and nuclear bombs are symbolic parallels, as Marina Warner states, quote, the assumed virgin is clothed with the undying and golden sun, which in paintings envelops her as if a gilded shell. The first atomic explosion, which was at Trinity site, was described by Oppenheimer in his recollection of lines from the Bhagavad Gita. Quote, if the radiance of 1,000 suns were to burst at once into the sky, that would be like the splendor of the mighty one. End quote. Brigadier General Thomas Farrell, who was second in command at Alamogordo, used the following words in describing the scene. Quote, no man-made phenomena of such tremendous power had ever occurred before. The lighting effects beggared description. The whole country was lighted by a searing light with the intensity many times that of the midday sun. End quote. Like the explosion of the bomb, the dogma of the Assumption of Mary is a phenomenon that beggars description, that has unnatural power, and that is an assumed, usurped, destructive simulation of something deeply powerful and natural. The artificiality of both of these products of phallic civilization is captured in Farrell's expression, lighting effects. Warner suggests, moreover, that as a consequence of the Assumption, Mary acquires ubiquitousness. Quote, she can appear on earth to visionaries in any place at any time, end quote. Of course, there were reported apparitions for centuries before the dogma was proclaimed. The dogma simply adds further legitimation and solidity, as it were, to these claims. Likewise, the testimonies of scientific and political priests concerning the beauty and wonderfulness of the initial atomic explosions legitimated the proliferation, the ubiquitousness of biocidal weapons. It is important to keep in mind also the fact that the Assumption is about death. The body of the Virgin is said to experience death but does not decay. The dogma is about triumph over death. The Virgin dies and is instantly restored to life. So also the bomb is about death and triumph over death. Unbelievably, its legitimators have seen in it a shelter against annihilation, a restoration of hope for life. William Lawrence, the science writer who recorded many of the comments of scientists and statement about the first atomic explosion, exemplifies this doublethink. Quote, this great iridescent cloud and its mushroom top, I found myself thinking as I watched, is actually a protective umbrella that will forever shield mankind everywhere against the threat of annihilation in any atomic war. This rising super sun seemed to me the symbol of the dawn of a new era in which any sizable war had become impossible, for no aggressor could now start a war without the certainty of absolute and swift annihilation. End quote. Oh my God. Lawrence's ability to persuade himself that the bomb is itself protection against annihilation by the bomb is all pervasive in the priesthood of nuclearism. It is reflected in the Pentagon's policies, for example, in the MAD, the Mutually Assured Destruction Pentagon policy that prevailed in the 70s, and it underlies more recent tactics and strategies. This protection racket mentality is and has always been perversive in the lecherous state. Feminists are aware of it as a basic pattern in rapist society, in which women are forced to seek from allegedly non-rapist males protection against rapists. On one level, this can be seen as operative. Oh my God, she is going the fuck off. Yo, Lord have mercy. She says, on one level, this can be seen as operative in the sense that men can pretend that they are protecting their nation, family, and some other form of the Great Mother archetype that suits their purposes from, quote, the enemy, the men who wield nuclear power on the other side. On a deeper level, the nuclear madmen can be seen as protecting themselves by this ultimate destruction against the elemental forces of nature that terrify all men. For life is more For life is more horrifying to them than for life is more horrifying to them than is unnatural death of themselves and of the planet caused by their own berserk technology. On this level, the protection racket works in a comparable way in the doctrine of the Assumption. For by constructing a tame simulation of the Archimage, a simulation whose physical presence is essentially elsewhere than on this earth, and who cannot ascend into heaven of her own volition, but has to be assumed by the male god, the myth masters attempt to protect themselves against the terrifying knowledge of creative biophilic female power. Like the bomb, Mary is lifted up by phallic sublimations and machinations. Thus, atomic and nuclear weapons in the myth of the Assumption are expressions of the lethal split and fission in phallic culture and of the false fusions consequent upon these. They are supreme manifestations of pseudo-sublimation, technological and doctrinal discharges that reflect and perpetuate divisions and dualisms antithetical to life. The real target of attack is elemental being. Make it plain. The real target of attack is elemental being. The priests of nuclearism seek to destroy the integrity of spirit matter that is negated mythically and ideologically by the priests of phallic religion. This integrity is the biophilic power, that the assumers pretend to have. Come on, their arrogance is long-standing. We should recall again the words of the second apostle of Peter. Quote, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief, and then the heavens will pass away with a loud noise, and the elements will be dissolved with fire, and the earth and the works that are upon it will be burned up." That is 2 Peter 3:10. Moreover, as we have seen, they experience themselves as already dead. In fact, the assumers, like Dracula, could more accurately be described as undead, neither really alive nor oh my god, oh shit. Neither really alive nor dead, feeding on living spirit matter. Oh my God. Their undeadness is perpetuated in their products. Oh my God. Let's see. Their undeadness is perpetuated in their products. It is exemplified on the mythic level by the non-biodegradable assumed virgin and on the material plane by man-made radioactive plutonium, which, once produced, remains poisonous for at least 500,000 years. Devoid of life, the products of pseudo-sublimation, from the immaculately conceived and assumed virgin to the clean neutron bomb, are perfectly pure. Moreover, chronological thinkers should not overlook what was happening to women in America and Europe around the time of the official proclamation of the dogma of the Assumption in 1950. In the 40s, in America, women had obtained substantial jobs while the boys were busy with World War II. Society had needed women's higher capacities, higher than the ability to wash dishes at any rate. Since boys were recruited into the armed forces, women also gained admission in greater numbers to colleges. Women were beginning to taste something like freedom and an illusion of institutional power. When the war was over, so were female gains. The massive brain-scrubbing campaign of the later 40s and 50s had as its goal the firm establishment of the feminine mystique. Women were battered by propaganda from all sides, badgered into housewifery. The assumption emerged during this time of backlash. It is sensible to see it as a part of this picture. As Mary went, quote, up, women went down without realizing it. The familiar tactic of reversal was in operation. And as women gazed heatherward at the feminine mystique personified, Mary, the happy housewife, gone home to heaven, They were in reality being herded into the womb tomb, the home. Another possibility, not to be dismissed lightly, is that the Catholic assumers sent Mary up in preparation for annihilating her earthly presence and for joining the Protestant annihilators in let's see, in ecumenical, I don't know that word, brotherhood. It would have been necessary to give her a glorious send-off, guised as a heavenly homecoming. And of course, they reserved to themselves the option to bring her back whenever she might be needed for an important job. I think I'm gonna stop there. But no, I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna read one more section and then I'm gonna stop. The translucent transcendence of the assumption. Whatever. So anybody like born and raised in the Protestant church, the assumption is a Catholic concept. So if you find that you are feeling confused, that's why. It's because we don't learn anything about the assumption in Protestant, tradition. The assumption is a Catholic concept about Mary. So that's what she's talking about here. Whatever the intent of the assumers, the assumed virgin, of course, can function as a freewheeling metaphor of elemental reality, so that in this image can be glimpsed traces of the sky goddesses for whom she was derived, and behind these can be sensed cosmic elemental forces and sources. And behind these, let's see, can be sensed elemental forces and sources. For the sky goddesses remind us of Stoacia, the spirits, life forces of the sun, moon, and stars. They point to cosmic connections. The image of the Virgin rising can become a metaphor for muses who fly beyond the assumption, and the assumers roaring at their asinine assumptions. Thus, in the assumption, the arch image is not only a tool for intercepting messages of wild being. She is also a subliminal transmitter of these messages. For in her metaphoric dimensions, the rising virgin is out of the control of the patriarchal propagandist and is lustrous with archaic radiance. As metaphor of meta-being, she is indeed mediatrix of the graces. The cannibalism of the Christian assumers is suggested by their choice of the date of the Feast of the Assumption, August 15th, for they have attempted to assume and consume Lammas, one of the four great feasts of the old religion of the witches. Although originally Lammas, the harvest feast, was celebrated on August 1st, the closeness of the dates makes the association probable. An interesting fact is recorded by Marina Warner. Quote, as early as the 10th century, the intimate association between the as early as the 10th century, the intimate association between the aromas of herbs and flowers and the victory of Mary over death was celebrated in the ritual of the Feast of the Assumption. Medicinal herbs and plants were brought to the church on that day. Periwinkle, verbena, thyme, and many other ingredients of the herbalist art were laid on the altar to be incensed and blessed. Then they were bound into a sheath and kept all year to ward off illness and disaster and death. But the ceremony was abolished in England at the Reformation and is extinct everywhere now except in towns of northern Italy, end quote. Warner does not indicate that she sees the connection between the practices that she describes here and the traditional wisdom of the witches, the herbalists, healers, wise women of whom the church was so terrified. Moreover, Warner does not note any significance in the fact that the ceremony is now extinct and that it was abolished in England at the Reformation. For chronological thinkers, it is noteworthy that the 16th century phenomena of the Reformation coincided with the beginnings of the witch craze. Since the Protestant churchmen were bent upon discrediting and destroying the arch image, as well as healers and witches themselves who practiced the archimagical powers, it is quite logical that they would abolish this ceremony, for it displayed and disclosed too much. Incarnations, restorations, and renewals. To understand the workings of the assumers in this course of modern societal events, it is important to study the syndrome of restoration. The all-pervasive obsession with the restoration, spiritual, cultural, medical, implies the necessity and desirability of a breakdown of elemental nature, preparing the way for this omnipresent process of restoration and rehabilitation, which is, in essence, sado-sublimation. Within the society of restorationism, almost total debilitation is the optimum condition for acceptance of phallic priesthoods through some grace. Restorationism should be seen within the context contrived by the sado-spiritual myth reversers and restorers. The sado-societal sovereigners' will to warp original words requires sublimated incarnations, warped words, ideas made flesh. In the world of pornographic theological myth, this involves an archetypal rape. The Christian incarnation myth fulfills this requirement on a grand scale. The transexed, broken spirit of the goddess, guised as the Holy Ghost, rapes the broken and dispirited matter of the goddess, Mary. The transexed, broken spirit of the goddess, guised as the Holy Ghost, rapes the broken and dispirited matter of the goddess, Mary. Thus, the myth-molding voyeurs have produced what could be designated the purest peep show of the millennia, a male-identified counterfeit lesbian love scene issuing in male offspring. The product of this fantastic feat is Jesus. This spectacle of the transexed, divided goddess raping herself is the ultimate in sado-spiritual speculation. It is an idiot's revision of parthenogenesis converted into rape. Oh my God. Woo! Yo. Listen. Oh my God. She says, it is an idiot's revision of parthenogenesis converted into rape. The myth of the incarnation then logically implies the usurpation of female power. Moreover, since the Virgin Mary symbolizes matter to the myth masters, the myth legitimates the rape of all matter. Ooh. The incarnation depicts the material reproduction of a male pseudo-goddess, Jesus, who is a plastic goddess in several senses. First, he is an unnatural imitation of the typical effect of parthenogenesis, which would be a daughter. Oh, y'all ain't hearing? Listen. Oh my God. Second, he is easily molded to serve the purposes of his manufacturers in different cultural situations. I know my name ain't crazy. Third, like non-biodegradable plastics, he is difficult, almost impossible to dispose of. Oh shit! Yo! Oh my God! Listen. Oh my God. She said Jesus is like non-biodegradable plastics. He is difficult, almost impossible to dispose of. Oh my God. Listen. In modern technology, the sado-sublimated incarnations legitimated by the incarnation are also plastic, resulting in the destruction and simulation of nature, the replacement. Oh. Yo. the replacement of all that is natural and organic. Since pseudo-subliming involves stealing in the sense of concealing original elemental knowledge and words, and their replacement by warped words, it follows that the incarnations of these warped words will be deadly distortions and simulations of elemental reality. Moreover, since the mechanisms of pseudo-subliming involve exquisite deception, which is the torture and twisting of minds and spirits, it follows that the incarnations of these deceptive ideas and words, that is, the products of pseudo-sublimation, will perpetuate this torture and deform matter as well. That is, verbicide implies biocide. In a special way, verbicide implies gynocide. The figure hanging on the Christian cross is subliminally female and a model for females. What? Oh. 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 Ooh. Listen, she said, in a special way, verbicide implies gynocide. The figure hanging on the Christian cross is subliminally female and a model for females. The crucifixion of the incarnate word is really the crucifixion of female meanings and words. In Christian mythology, the word became incarnate in order to suffer and die for the sins of men. It is unthinkable that he was born in order to be joyous and to live because life is good, since unfortunately he was twisted thought and word to begin with. This sort of distorted, blunted purpose, final causality is so ingrained in patriarchal thought patterns that it is rarely perceived as twisted. Rather, suffering is God's will. A myth of incarnation of biophilic word would fail to catch on in the mainstream of Sado society and could not legitimate such a structure. For the rulers of these Sado spheres required that sickness, suffering, poverty, depression, immobility, guilt, and basic breakdown of integrity be the norm. Furious women break that norm in the process of naming it. Naming is battling against verbicide, cutting through closures that conceal the biophilic words. Whoa! Yo! Listen. Naming, unlike mere labeling, is ongoing emotional analysis, ontological knowing, gnawing the way through incarceration by lethal incarnations. An aid in this knowing process is Robert J. Lifton's concept of the restorationist totalism. This involves 3 stages. Listen, this involves 3 stages. 1, annihilation. 2, renewal. 3, embrace and dependent worship. Apparently, without consciously knowing it, Lifton has described the manifestations of phallic Trinitarianism. In Christian terms, creation is appropriated to the Father. Restoration and renewal is associated with the incarnate word. And, quote, love, embrace and consequent dependency is a name of the Holy Ghost. In the reversal world legitimated by this threesome, creation clearly means annihilation, renewal means imitation and replacement, and embrace love means suffocation. Oh, fuck. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all just hear what I just said? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh fucking shit. Oh fucking shit. Listen. She said, oh my God. Listen, apparently without consciously even knowing it, Lifton has described the manifestations of phallic Trinitarianism. In Christian terms, creation is appropriated to the Father. Appropriated to the Father. Restoration and renewal is associated with the incarnate Word. And love, embrace, and consequent dependency is a name of the Holy Ghost. In the reversal world legitimated by this threesome, creation clearly means annihilation. Renewal means imitation and imitation and replacement. And embrace and love means suffocation. God damn. Damn. Yo. Moreover, these correspond to amnesia, annihilation of memory, aphasia, enforced substitution of verbiage for truly spirated words, and apraxia, disoriented acts such as embrace and dependent worship of the wrong things. Yo, God damn. That's it. That's all. That's all I can read today, because like it is really encroaching on my time. I have a client at 6:30. But listen, bang. Damn. That was a word for today, child. Listen. So for those of you who tuned in late, who are still watching, you can look in my YouTube page, my Facebook page, my Twitch page for the announcements for tonight's live. So tonight at 9:36 p.m., I will be doing a live because this week is really, really huge. This week is really, really big. Okay? Pluto stations direct tomorrow. Okay? We have a powerful Friday the 13th that is preceding an annular solar eclipse, a ring of fire eclipse that will not happen again in this part of the world till 2039, happening on October 14th. This is a big week in honor of and in helping you to prepare for the occurrences of this big week. I will be doing live readings every night this week. And I may have to adjust them because I'm going to events this week. But I will adjust and let you know in plenty of enough time. But at 9:36 tonight, I will be doing a live reading. Check the details for how that will unfold. I'll be doing live readings tonight at 9:36. It is $11 a question. Each person can ask up to 3 questions. I will be pulling cards, and I actually am considering pulling out my I Ching tonight. I haven't read the I Ching in a while, but I think definitely I'm going to pull out the I Ching tonight, and I will also be pulling out my tarot deck. I'll be reading from the tarot and from the I Ching tonight. $11 a question, up to 3 questions per person. And while we're waiting for people to come in and ask questions or what have you, I will also be talking to you about the coming events, what they are, how to prepare, what they mean. So I am going to get to work right now, but I will be back at 9:36 p.m. with a live reading tonight and how to prepare for this most magnanimous week. Okay? See you then. My name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates. And I will see y'all tonight. Founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Mergers. I'll see y'all tonight.